But Republicans are still blocking the release of Matt Gaetz's ethics report. So I'm curious how you know who is protecting women, whether they like it or not. Sexual misconduct allegations seem not to matter anymore. It seems like unless you have a sexual misconduct allegation, you can't be in the cabinet.
That's true.
I mean, that's what it's looking like because, I mean, was it 11 people? And maybe one of the 11 doesn't have something going on?
Years ago, I think it was Cindy Adams used to have these parties, and they'd say, if you're not indicted, you're not invited. And it reminds me of this, in a way. It's like
Joy always has these dumb sayings on a regular basis. And again, I always talk about this type of stuff on the Millionaire Morning Show. She always say these dumb sayings before she says something. But let's also bring Whoopi to the front of the congregation. And that, how is Trump not protecting women? And how is that even a regular part of the conversation when the context is completely taken differently than what it was implied? More importantly, I also like to say this. Most instances and most times, there's very rare a guy that is not trying to avoid the possibility of getting an allegation levied against him, because the allegation is that it's an allegation. But we also understand that in the court of public opinion, nobody actually cares about whether it was true, whether it was false. The only thing that matters is the allegation. So the fact that it may not be substantiated, or the fact that it went away, or the fact that you was accused but not necessarily convicted, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is the optics. But the thing that Democrats don't realize, and these liberals don't realize, is that people don't care about what you think about them. They only care about whether or not their lives are being affected in a positive or a negative way. So we can use identity politics and we can use optics to try to justify whether or not we like the pics or not, but it doesn't really make a difference. More importantly, we know as of the recording of this video that Matt Gaetz is out and now Pam Bondi is in. And so we'll deep dive into that in a little bit, because we know that she's more than qualified, and more importantly that she is a person that can execute even better than Matt Gaetz was. But here's the biggest thing, because Trump has now have more women being appointed. He's been more scrutinized than anybody prior to him. And then on top of that, it's important to note that I believe, along with several other people, and again, this is something that we discussed on the Millionaire Morning Show, so make sure that you guys tap into the Millionaire Morning Show. I believe that Matt Gaetz, intentionally or unintentionally, exposed the people that were in these legislative branches that were basically traitors, are not necessarily going to execute on Trump's agenda as ordained by the people that voted for him. And so what it did was it exposed people's hands prior to Matt Bondi now being nominated. And so one of the benefits of all of this public scrutiny, again, and intentionally or unintentionally, we don't know what the strategy of the Trump administration is, but intentionally or unintentionally, it exposed how people were going to deal with, react to, and whether or not certain people were going to execute and align themselves with the Republican Party as Trump is now leading the Republican Party or not. It exposed the snakes in the grass. But let's deep dive into it. Let's continue.
like, oh, let's see, who's accused of sexual assault? Put him in the cabinet. And they're like, pick me, pick me.
Well, I think one of the conversations coming up around this is, does this derail the MeToo movement? And I think that's a line in the sand that we don't go backwards on 1,000%. We're watching P. Diddy is in jail right now, can't get bail because people know that criminal sexual assault has to be punished. But this does not surprise me that many people being nominated, that Donald Trump's circle would include, locker talk, people that want to grab you by the privates and help you whether you like it or not. Like, the people don't shock me, but it is getting up there. You've got now, just to be clear on my language here, alleged sexual misconduct.
Yeah, you don't want to be like Sonny Hostin and have to issue an apology.
Or harassment. Gates, RFK Jr., Pete Hegseth, Elon Musk,
Donald Trump.
Yeah. This is a Donald Trump problem to me, not a Me Too problem. This is what comes with it. But one interesting thing was Caroline Leavitt, who's Trump's picks for White House press secretary, said he has chosen brilliant and highly respected outsiders to serve in his administration, and he will continue to stand behind them as they fight against all those who seek to derail the MAGA agenda. I would encourage them to separate sexual assault and sexual offenders from their MAGA agenda, or you're telling me this is part of your agenda.
Listen, they are grasping at straws at this point. All of these people are brilliant in their respective fields, and we need for them to execute on the highest level to make sure that we get things back to the way that it used to be so that we can operate great with our families. More importantly, we don't like, and I don't know if y'all don't get this, if this is not going through y'all thick skulls or not. We don't agree. Most people, most men, most people that are really paying attention to what's happened over the last few years, most men don't agree with the Me Too movement. What you've seen over the last few years is an assault on traditional family, an assault on women, and an assault on masculinity. And the Me Too movement gave people an opportunity to convict people in the court of public opinion and cause for them to lose their resources, lose their jobs, and also to validate how a woman feels and not to actually uphold the law, which we know the law is guilty or innocent until proven guilty. And so most people, this is one of the things that I believe that people need to get rid of. They need to get rid of the terms, toxic masculinity, for example. I do believe that the Me Too movement was more harmful, 10 times more harmful than it's ever been helpful. And again, I don't agree with the idea of convicting people in the court of public opinion. And so she could try to, and they can try to grasp for straws with Trump and its administration and the Elon Musk and the RFK Jr. But we do need to change in our food. We do need to audit the federal government. We do need to close off our borders. We do need to lower inflation. We do need to make sure that we get back to job growth. And all of this stuff that they talking about is just a distraction, which is one of the reasons why liberals lost the vote and they lost the election in the first place.
And that's what's coming out.
One more thing. I'm remembering, it's reminded me of when Kavanaugh was up for the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And the FBI never really followed through on the investigation, as far as I know. Am I correct on that?
You're
Sonia?
correct. They
I
stopped
am.
the investigation.
So, I mean, that's the beginning of the end right there. People should have been alerted to what was going to be coming down the pike right there. So I'm not surprised by
Well, and I
this at
think
all.
what I'm struck by with this is Donald Trump, any incoming president, does have a right to nominate who they want for their cabinet. The Senate will go through their advice and consent role. But there are people he could put in these roles who are both better qualified, better liked, and don't have this.
No, there is nobody better qualified than Elon Musk. And we have to make sure that we get people that's outside of the establishment, because that's the whole reason why we want to drain the swamp. She's wrong.
Salacious baggage behind
Yeah, but they're
them.
not on television.
But the Matt Gaetz pick in particular is fascinating to me.
Then
I
that
do
means that
not
we
know
need to discount what they're saying and their expertise because they're on television, right? If it's not hypocritical for them to say that, then I don't know what
a
is.
single Republican who likes Matt Gaetz. This is a person who is widely, universally despised in Washington, D.C. He's come after all of his colleagues. Other Fox News hosts have come out and said that this is not a good pick. Trey Gowdy, who is a big fan of Donald Trump's, was extremely critical of him. The New York Post, owned by Rupert Murdoch, has come out against Gaetz as Attorney General. So when even the people who are in your camp and your fiercest defenders are saying, Donald, this might not be a good idea, I think you should consider it. And if Matt Gaetz does end up going forward to a confirmation hearing, he's going to have to sit down and convince senators. And just a quick recap of things he said about Republicans who he will need: Susan Collins, voters should reject her, and Lisa Murkowski. Mark Wayne Mullen is a fool. Mitch McConnell is in shambles. Tom Tillis is trying to get another blank check for a corrupt country. John Cornyn, there are better Johns than John Cornyn. I mean, these are people he takes his time rather than to legislate or deliver for his district. He's going after his own colleagues. I'd argue he's gone harder after Republicans than he ever has Democrats. I'm not entirely convinced he's going to get confirmed, though, because other than Donald Trump, I don't know anyone who likes Matt Gaetz.
Well, we don't have to worry about that because he pulled a Uno reverse card and he gave y'all the Pam Bondi. It is what it is. And they did it so fast that that's one of the reasons why I'm almost thinking, like, man, was that strategic? I don't know. Let's see what the rest of them have to say.
Ted Cruz likes them.
Maybe, yeah.
Probably.
You'll get Cruz.
You know, my grandmother, who passed a couple years ago, used to always tell me in Spanish, tell me who you walk with and I'll show you who you are.
We don't care about any of these women's hyperbole and their standards and all of that, because if that's any indication of who you are, then we need to hold your grandmother accountable. What the hell does she have on? What is Sonny doing? What is Sonny Hostin doing out here in these streets, y'all?
And that came to mind every single
Why they always
time I see one of
applauding
these
her?
cabinet picks, because we are all, flustered and disappointed and not surprised by these picks. But by the same token,
She got
the
an
top
oversized
of the
jacket.
ticket, the top of the Republican ticket, has been accused of sexual misconduct by over 26 women. The top of the Republican ticket was found guilty of 34 felony counts involving hush payments to a porn star. The top of the
That's
Republican
called
ticket
election
was found
interference, by
liable
the way.
for sexual abuse of a woman. So why would anybody think that that particular party would have any problem with any of these picks? Because he is walking amongst the people that reflect who he is.
So you know what they say?
Listen, again, y'all can keep crying about it or y'all can get on board, because this train is leaving. The last train to Paris is leaving. Actually, the last train back to making America great again is leaving. Sunny Holston is whining, but she needs to focus more on what the stylist is talking about than what these picks are. And now I didn't even realize that The View was a political show. But again, I love to criticize the lunch ladies. Y'all let me know what y'all think inside of the chat. Also, Teach Henley, 40% off your first order, plus 20% off for life. Make sure you tap into the Patreon and then get your tickets to come and see me December 14th in Detroit. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you later. Peace.